Hi. Wow, that's a good face, Rob. What's going on there?
I'm drinking a seltzer.
Right before this, I went on eBay and saw that I was looking up the Crow City of Angels entertainment memorabilia, and there's a bottle of soda for like $10 or whatever, and it's Coca-Cola.
Reserve seating starts right now.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Reserve Seating. We're trying something a little different this week. We are going to be doing an episode called Mean Genes, which is a tribute to the late, great Gene Siskel, who, when he didn't like a movie, he really didn't like a movie. So we decided to go back and look at three old Gene Siskel reviews for movies that he gave either 1.5 stars or less. And we chose one movie from 1987, one movie from 1990, and one movie from 1994. So our first selection was Patrick's pick, his pick of the week, if you will. It is 1987's, I think, beloved Tony Scott sequel to Beverly Hills Cop, Beverly Hills Cop 2. So Gene Siskel wrote in his review, a high-powered but empty sequel to the best-selling movie comedy of all time. Even more so than in the original, the writers and director have wasted the film's singular asset, Eddie Murphy, a man who needs no car chases, no bullets, and frankly, no one else to keep us entertained. Yet, as directed by Tony Scott, Murphy explodes like a jet from the film's very first scene as he returns to Beverly Hills to trail thieves and an arms dealer. His white partners, I don't know why he had to do that, his white partners from the first film, Judge Reinhold and John Ashton, are along for the ride, and that's precisely what the film is. A cannonball like run through Los Angeles with infrequent pauses for Murphy's wonderful one liners. The film's blaring soundtrack pins you against your seat when all you really want is to get close to Eddie Murphy. In recent press conferences, Murphy said that there will be more Beverly Hills Cop movies. He's right, of course. Let's hope he gets to talk in the next one. 1.5 stars. So, Patrick, what do you think about Beverly Hills Cop 2? And do you agree with Gene Siskel's take?
He's not wrong about a lot of that, but a lot of those things are like reasons I like the movie.
Yeah.
Um, I put something on Twitter last week about how like I probably like Beverly Hills Cop 2 better than one. And truth be told, I mean, if I'm gonna reach for one, I'll reach for two. One is probably a better movie because it has like an arc and it makes sense,
Yeah.
and it gives Eddie Murphy stuff to do. And two is just a cool Tony Scott movie that I enjoy watching a lot more than the original. I don't think Eddie Murphy gets to be super funny in the movie, but I enjoy his like chemistry and his back and forth with John Ashton and Judge Reinhold, his white partners.
Wait, part.
And the villain's plot makes no sense. This whole like alphabet bandits is the stupidest shit. But I don't care. Like the music is awesome, the cinematography is gorgeous,
Mm-hmm.
the movie moves, it's super entertaining. Like a lot of what Gene Siskel said is true, but those are reasons to give the movie like 3 to 3.5 stars.
Yes, 100%.
I think that this one, and I can get down with mean-spirited action comedy. I will watch Bad Boys 2, even though I know better. Beverly Hills Cop 2 is a little bit of the same. It's not as ugly as Bad Boys 2, but I think that the demeanor of Axel Foley, it has changed so much where he's kind of like gone from motor mouth to just bully. And it reminded me a lot this time of like when I watched Chris Tucker in Rush Hour 2, when I'm just like, oh God, like why is he such in Rush Hour 3 especially? It's like, why is he such a jerk now? It's like the class clown became like, tyrant. So Beverly Hills Cop 2, I think it's a better Tony Scott movie than it is an Eddie Murphy movie for me.
It's
I
like
will say Beverly Hills Cop 2 has one of the greatest one sheets of all time. I'm a huge fan of the late 80s, like hi, I'm Eddie Murphy. I'm standing against the wall with my leg crossed, and aren't I cool? And like Field of Dreams is posters the same way, where
Yeah.
like Costner just has his legs crossed, facing forward with his hands on his hip, and he's just like, "You in or you out?" And it's like, one, please.
Yeah, 80s leading men, we just weren't worried about it. We were just like, look,
Yeah.
here it is. Come along or not.
All right, so next up is Rob's pick from 1990, and that is kind of a notorious failure at the box office and critically, especially based on the material. The Brian De Palma 1990 Bonfire of the Vanities. Gene Siskel said, Brian De Palma's disastrous film of Tom Wolfe's seminal 80s novel. The biggest mystery of many surrounding this production is why anyone of De Palma's intelligence would want to take a great book, a truly great book in italics,
By a white author,
by a truly great book of wit and bile, and soften it into platitudinous pablum. The film was cast strong and written shallowly. Tom Hanks is best of a bad lot as Sherman McCoy, Wall Street bond salesman who takes home millions each year and fancies himself a master of the universe able to bend all rules. He routinely cheats on his pretty but empty-headed socialite wife with married sexpot Maria, played by Melanie Griffith, looking like a floozy and talking like an idiot. Bruce Willis plays reporter Peter Fallow as a boring, laconic drunk instead of a vicious, savvy drunk. The trio is brought together after a car accident. A car accident is turned into a racist and political football by reporter Fallow's yellow journalism. The locations range from Fifth Avenue parties to nightmares in the Bronx, but everything is softened. I can think of at least a dozen directors who would have put a darker edge to this material than De Palma has done. 1.5 stars.
I did not like Bonfire of the Vanities. It was my first time seeing it. This was one of the few De Palma movies I had never seen.
Mm-hmm.
I so wanted to give this movie the benefit of the doubt, and it may just be because it was the first time seeing it, and maybe I have not read the novel. Everybody in this movie feels like Tony Scott. Wow, let me start over. Everybody in this movie feels like Brian De Palma is telling them exactly what to do and that they were sure of what they were supposed to be doing. I'm just not sure how any of it adds up. I don't know. I don't have enough experience with this movie to really be able to judge it definitively on the first watch. You guys have both seen this before.
Yeah, I think this was my second viewing of it. I like it enough in the sense that I like every Brian De Palma movie at least a little bit,
Sure.
from up until, maybe the past few years, some of his most recent movies. But and I like just kind of the packaging of it all. It's a big cast, it's real kind of bawdy, it's expensive, it's a studio movie. But the socio-political racial stuff is at sometimes it's very broad, and at sometimes it's very soft pedaled, so it's kind of like this weird push and pull of a satire.
That's where I was waiting for it to get satirical. I was waiting for it to like fold into like a satire, and it wasn't. To me, it never got there. I just.
Yeah, I mean, Morgan Freeman's kind of summation at the end of the movie is horrible. It just is such studio notes. We need to send out the Christmas audience smiling.
Which confused me so much, because then I was overthinking that part of it and going, well, then wait, is that part of is it being satirical there? Like, is it holding in on itself again? I don't know. I really had a hard time with this one.
I'm in both of your camps. I'm with Adam in terms of like, I like this because I wouldn't say I like it. I find it very watchable. Brian De Palma's probably the wrong guy to make this movie.
Yeah.
That's probably where it is. Yeah.
But again, like you said, Adam, it's a Brian De Palma movie, so it's going to be watchable. I like the cast, even though practically everyone in this movie is miscast. I've not read the book either, so I can't compare how it handles the viciousness of the satire, but the satire is not particularly vicious. I will say, for a 1990 movie and a book written in the 80s, there was a lot of stuff in this as I was watching it last week that I was like, oh, this could be made today. Not to say that, like,
sure,
the sharpness of the satire, but just a lot of the stuff that they're talking about continues to be relevant, which is probably more a testament to Thomas Wolfe than Brian De Palma. I really recommend reading The Devil's Candy. I've not read The Bonfire of the Vanities, but I have read The Devil's Candy, which is the book about the making of this movie. There's like an entire chapter about Eric Schwab trying to get a shot of a plane landing at sunset. And then you watch the movie and you're like, that was 8 seconds long. What the fuck are we doing?
I mean, he's a really intelligent man and a talented filmmaker, so I'm sure he has, opinions and thoughts on it, but just nothing in his filmography seems to be like commenting on broad society. It's more like on kind of weirdo fetishes and things like that, and peculiarities. And that's one of the reasons why his movies are so great, is because they're, character studies within, these genre pieces.
And De Palma can do, like you mentioned, like the sort of bawdiness, or like even like it's like arch, and like The Untouchables is arch, like, you know what I mean? Like The Untouchables is square in that way, in a good way, in a way where that it's stylistically, that way on purpose. This one feels like it's by accident, you know what I mean? Like, and that's why I kept looking for the tone, where I was like, well, what is it? Is it making fun of this? Is it playing this straight? And again, I mean, I'd be happy to rewatch it, because I can always watch a Brian De Palma movie, but yeah, this one just really rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know what was going on.
This whole thing is just a classic Hollywood mess and misfire, where he got studio noted to death, insisting that changes be made in the casting. He didn't get the people that he wanted. He had other people forced upon him, Bruce Willis namely. My first day of Columbia College Film School, I wasn't in film school for very long, but my very first day, they showed Hearts of Darkness, the documentary about the making of Apocalypse Now. And after the movie was over, the professor said, now, if this, if you guys weren't film students, would this be interesting to you? And a lot of them were like, well, yeah, of course, because we want to understand blah, blah, blah. And I kind of raised my hand and said, I disagree. I think you guys are into this because you're film students. Nobody cares about what, and I said, the reason that this matters is because the movie's a hit. Right. Nobody wants to see a documentary about Bonfire of the Vanities failing. And for the rest of my short term there, they all then referred to me as De Palma, because they were dicks.
Wow. Suck it, Columbia film class.
Yeah. Should have gone to.
Who's laughing now? I'm on reserved seating.
Yeah, that's because you transferred to Paramount Film School. No. Beep. It is my pick from 1994. Kevin Reynolds, who I'm not entirely convinced is real, directed, and Kevin Costner produced.
Chris Gaines.
Yeah, and Kevin Costner produced Rapa Nui. It stars Jason Scott Lee and Esai Morales. It takes place on Easter Island several hundred years ago, and involves class warfare, slavery, things with chicken entrails, race obstacle courses to win king favor in society, where you have to attach eggs to your forehead and make sure that they don't break.
There's a lady in a cave.
A lady in a cave who goes blind for no good reason. So Rapa Nui is I liked it. But first, let me read Gene Siskel's review before I forget. Gene said, an unintentionally silly adventure set on Easter Island in the 1600s that tries to explain the presence of the great stone statues there. The statues are part religious worship and part crowd control for the ruling class. We get National Geographic-style shots of Native women, along with laughable races across the island in which participants have to grab a bird egg, bring it back over sea and cliff without breaking its shell. That might work at a child's birthday party game, but it's goofy here. 1 star.
Roger Ebert called this one of the worst movies ever made.
Really?
Did you see in his review, though? He also said that he can't recommend it for fear of his reputation, but he sort of wants to watch it again.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time on the nudity.
Yeah.
Because I read it after you pointed that out, and he just has this throwaway line like, sure, it's one of the worst movies ever made, but I kind of want to see it again.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. I had a similar reaction to this, and I'll be careful how I phrase this. I have a very similar reaction to this as I did Avatar: The Way of Water, where I just wanted to be here. And so Avatar: The Way of Water.
Put the egg on your head, bro.
I gotta go shopping, son. So
that's my what's his name? Natayam.
Yeah. It's just, as the movie went on, I was equal parts bored, equal parts checking my phone, equal parts kind of mesmerized, equal parts can't wait to see this again, equal parts shocked by the last 20 minutes. I was just like, did not see that coming, because this movie's sort of a sports movie almost, with like a woman being forced to sit in a cave for 6 months. But yeah, and then it turns into Gangs of New York for 20 minutes, and I'm just like, yes, this is memorable and good. And Kevin Reynolds made a movie that only he could have made at this time, because the two of them were so riding high box office wise between all the early 90s hits in with Warner Brothers, where Warner Brothers said, here's $20 million, go make your movie that no one will ever watch.
I can make any movie, because I've been dying to make this egg chase movie.
Yeah.
That turns into Apocalypto at a certain point and goes crazy. I didn't think it was ever boring, but I have to admit I was way more fascinated by it as an artifact of like, how does this exist, than I was by anything that was happening in the movie.
This movie is fucking wallpaper. I didn't get it at all.
Kevin Reynolds is a good director, so it like moves, but it's nuts. The dialogue is all anachronistic. The characters don't make sense. Jason Scott Lee, God bless him, he's very sincere. I like him in Dragon. I don't think he carries this movie.
Disagree.
Once people started falling off cliffs and stuff, I was super on board.
Mm-hmm.
But then it very quickly turns to cannibalism, and I was just like
real fast, like on time. Yeah.
Holy shit. And then it's over. Roll credits. Like, we're eating people. Credits.
We were at the whims of creators, and like, if they made you enough money, they trusted you. And it's just like Costner made a Western about Native American tribes and things like that, and that won us Oscars and grossed us hundreds of millions of dollars. Surely he could do this with Easter Island. And
this is that, like, just trust me. Just trust me. Every day on set was like, just trust me. Just and then egg movie.
Do we know if Costner ghost directed any of this? Because I know that was his move every time Kevin Reynolds was a director.
Every time the Kevin Reynolds wig slipped.
Costner would just shove him and let me move, let me do it.
I think that Kevin Reynolds is like Gabriel in Malignant. Or maybe Quato. Like, he's
definitely Quato. Yes, he's definitely Quato.
This was fun. Let's do a quick round of what star rating out of 4 each of us would have given these movies. So Beverly Hills Cop 2. 3?
That's a 3-star movie, 100%.
I will go 2.
Okay.
Bonfire of the Vanities. I will say it is a 2.
For the cast, a 2. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like competent. It's just a mess,
Movie. It's just.
He also gave Malice 1 star.
No, fuck that.
Why weren't we talking about that?
And then Rapa Nui, I would give that a cool 3.
Are we half starring it or no?
Yeah, we can half star it.
I'm a 2.5. I'm a 2.5 man on that one.
Okay. I gave it the lowest. I felt like I liked it more than you, Rob.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
What did you give it?
You guys sold it. You guys sold me on it.
I went 2.
Yeah. You went 2? Okay.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, I don't know if it's going to take a month or a year or more, I'm gonna drag Rapa Nui into the Wishmaster draft day. Like we're gonna elevate this continuously for several years until it becomes an F this movie pick to click.
I'm gonna be buying 35 millimeter prints of Rapa Nui for your birthday, aren't I?
Rapa Nui, Rapa Nui. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. We hope you liked this episode.
Thanks,
Tell
Patrick.
us in
Sorry, Adam. Do it again.
Thanks everybody for watching. We will be back next week with the first review in our virtual reality movie month, where Patrick will join us again for Brett Leonard, King of the VR movie, 1995 sci-fi action flick, Virtuosity. So until next time,
Strap an egg to your head and jump off a cliff.
Rapa Nui.
Rapa Nui.